From relic to retribution, an unfiltered corporate takeover, my career was an old-school blockbuster filled with explosions, unexpected plot twists, and a villain with a smirk so shiny you could see your own disappointment in it. The villain's name was Trent. He was the kind of guy who thought a Rolex made him a personality, not just a person with a watch. One day, he told me I belonged in the mailroom. He said it loud enough for the whole office to hear, then chuckled like a sitcom baddie who just kicked a puppy. His voice was a slick, nasal symphony of corporate buzzwords, completely clueless about the realities of the job, the late nights, the impossible deadlines, the sheer grit it takes to keep a business running. He didn't know I'd seen that look before. The mix of contempt and boredom that says, I'm about to throw away something I don't understand, and I don't care. My ex had the same look when she left, taking everything but an empty sock drawer. The difference, she threw away a relationship. Trent was about to set fire to the last bridge holding our biggest client, Castrol, from walking out the door. Little did he know, I was the suspension cables. The planned 48 hours before Trent's little mailroom comment, I had already laid the groundwork for his downfall. I arrived at the office early, as usual, and found a glitched print job in the queue. It was a confidential spreadsheet detailing a client offload forecast, listing all my accounts with new handlers. None of them me. I wasn't getting promoted or transferred. I was being erased. But after 15 years of being underestimated, you learn a few things. I knew how to listen through walls, borrow key cards, and keep receipts like a damn archivist. I had something Trent didn't. Time to plan, to bait the hook, and to set a trap. When he made a snide comment, he thought it was the start of my end. For me, it was the start of his. I had already poured the gasoline, pointed the fan, and rewired the sprinklers to spray vodka. All I needed was the match, while the office was busy with some fake team building award ceremony. I calmly forwarded a single email to my personal account. Subject: Castro wants to renegotiate terms. The attachments were my full strategy deck for saving the account and an audio file. The file was Trent drunk, saying we should ghost the bastard after we squeeze Kestrel dry. He had no idea Kestrel wasn't just a client. I built that relationship while juggling vendor calls and doctor's appointments as my wife went through chemo. He was about to find out what it felt like to watch a $40 million account disappear while holding a golden parachute full of bricks. The domino effect. Monday morning, I walked in at 8:06 a.m. Intentionally late. I was an old hand at this place, having spent 15 years as the company's safety net, catching dropped contracts, managing client meltdowns, and covering for executives. They'd all stopped seeing the net, assuming the fall wouldn't hurt. My inbox had 3 ominous emails. One from IT, a reminder to return my device. One from HR, asking for feedback on my transition to new opportunities. And the last was from Kiss. The email was short, direct, and to the point. Received the debt. Audio file confirmed. Meeting this morning with my board. If you're free by end of day, we'll discuss a more secure future. Bring coffee. Translation: we're in. Pull the plug. Rick. I walked up to the 17th floor executive wing and found Trent in a meeting talking about me. Rick is a relic, he said. I walked in and dropped my resignation letter on the table. He fumbled with it, his face flushing. "You're making a mistake, Rick." I just shook my head. "No, you did when you tried to hollow out a legacy you didn't understand." He hadn't noticed the second sheet in the envelope, a memo to Kestrel's board, stating that all contracts tied to my oversight would be dissolved upon my departure. The clock was ticking. Dot. The final act. My phone buzzed as I got in the elevator. A text from Franklin Kessler, the head of Kestrel. "They're calling." I'm not answering. Clock's ticking. "Let it burn." I smirked at my reflection. Let it burn. I was just getting started. Trent didn't know that my logistics system for Kestrel was built on proprietary authentication nodes that only I could access. I had revoked my access token over the weekend. No key, no freight, no product. They would be sitting on millions in undelivered prototypes by noon. At 9:56 a.m., Trent called me, voice tight and desperate. I just told him to check his inbox. He'd find a termination notice from Kestrel and an attached press release announcing that I would be joining them as their new executive director of logistics. I drove away in my dusty '08 Chrysler, watching from a cafe as the building descended into chaos. The lobby was a carousel of panicked suits, and word was already spreading. Trent hadn't just lost Kestrel. He'd triggered a contagion. I had BCC'd to other key clients with a subject line that said internal instability. Fear spreads faster than news, and silence from leadership is the match that lights the fire. Trent's legacy was built on flimsy, short-term gains, gutting core processes for quick revenue bumps. He would have gotten away with it if he hadn't tried to write me out of the picture. I leaked documents showing his plan to offshore domestic routing to an unreliable vendor, his private Slack messages mocking disabled employees and calling maternity leave strategic downtime, and the forged approvals that put my name on a project I never sanctioned. I even sent a transcript of him making a callous joke about a veteran employee's cancer treatment. Trent's golden parachute turned into a lead brick, and his career was buried so deep, OSHA would need a permit to unearth it. At 7:46 a.m. the next morning, as I fried bacon in my kitchen, the news broke. VP resigns amid scandal. I had turned around and sold myself to everyone my old company was afraid of. My new firm, Callahan Logistics LLC, was born from the ashes of their chaos. I lit one last Marlboro, looked at the quiet office building, and raised my coffee in a toast. "Here's to Trent," I said to the empty air. "May his next job be exactly what he told me I was worth. The mailroom."